Pedro Pascal, and it's not
Yes.
him, it's somebody else. Okay, so it's not Pedro Pascal, it's another person, but I don't know who it is off the top of my head.
Okay.
So now, Pedro Pascal wasn't always in the armor, so if they said that, it's probably the guy that was in the armor.
Okay.
Right, for a lot of the shot. Pedro Pascal just came in and did a lot of the voice work. He was in the armor sometimes, but that's not who they would be talking about. If they did bring in Kirk, he's not going to be a captain. Okay, because, I guess historically in the books, I guess he did have a command prior to the Enterprise, and Christopher L. Bennett wrote a novel on it last year, I think it was, where Captain, the Sacagawea, I think was the name of the ship that he was captain on in this book, but nothing was ever written in stone. Like, this is like, the impression has always been that the Enterprise was his first command, but I think in like some Bible of the characters, somewhere it said Kirk was a captain once before, and so that's what Christopher L. Bennett went with this book. So unless they go that route, which they're not afraid of using the novels to influence, then he would be younger. He'd be a lieutenant or something like that. So, this is still, the Discovery started and it was 10 years before The Cage, I believe it was. And then they left and they came back. Maybe it was 10. I'm sure I'm getting my timelines confused, but I was pretty sure it was 10 years before Kirk, at least.
Yeah, it was 10 years before Kirk, which is why I sort of wanted to ask, does it even make sense to bring in Kirk? Because if Kirk did Kirk, and from what I understand, and totally correct me if I'm wrong, Kirk and Pike never served on the same ship, that Kirk came in once Pike was gone.
That's correct. Yeah, he took over command after Pike. That's correct. But that doesn't mean that they can't go to a planet and have an adventure with Kirk. See, that's the thing. Is like everybody's like when we got the news of Star Trek Discovery, everybody was talking like, "Oh, damn, they're doing Harry Mudd. I hate Harry Mudd. How can Harry Mudd be a main character on this show?" And they're casting Rainn Wilson, and Harry Mudd showed up for 2 episodes, right? Sarek showed up for what, 3? Right? But they when they make an announcement of a character, it doesn't mean that he's going to be a main character on the show. There might just be 1 episode with a young Kirk, 2 episodes, maybe, right? But there's no reason to think that they would have Kirk as a main character on the show. That wouldn't even make any sense.
Right. Okay.
But,
that's
but
what I
when
was
people,
asking.
Yeah, when Star Trek fans get that information, they're like, "Oh, this means they're going to be a main character." Like Rebecca Romijn or Romijn or whatever it is, right? When they announced her as number 1, we saw her twice. Right? So, that's another thing, right? Pike we saw all the time. Spock we saw in about half the episodes, right? But, number 1, we barely saw her.
Yeah.
Right? But it was a big announcement as to who was going to be playing her.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's true. But so Strange New World is going to take place where Discovery Season 2 left off.
I would guess. I don't think they've made the official announcement, but that would make sense. And I really think they missed the boat with the name. I think they should have called it Star Trek 1701.
Oh. I was wondering, Strange New Worlds, I didn't know where that came from, because I was like, space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission. Oh, to explore strange new worlds. Okay. I just had to do it again, listener. Sorry.
Yes. But I don't know. I think Star Trek 1701 would have made more sense because, you can't call it Star Trek Enterprise.
Right. Because
we've already had a Star Trek Enterprise, right? So, I don't know. Star Trek 1701 would have made a lot of sense because that's the 1701. It's not the 1701. No bloody A, B, C, or D, right?
That's right.
I think 1701 would have been a good name. But whatever. I'm neither here nor there. It doesn't matter to me. So
yeah. So we're going to assume that the abbreviation will be SNW.
That's what I've been using already, SNW.
Okay.
So not
because there was a huge debate about Discovery.
Yeah, Discovery's DIC or DIS, right? Or sorry, DS.
No.
DIS or DSC. I generally use DSC for myself, and then Voyager use VOI, and some people use VGR, right? So, it's all, and Picard is PIC. So
maybe I've just been under the Trek FM influence where it was told we will use DIS. So that's what I use.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, which is fine. It works for me. Strange New Worlds it's a good name for the show. I am really excited about this though. Like, this is eager. This is exciting. This is awesome news. Like more Star Trek. A lot of people have been concerned. Like, there was somebody on Twitter, Batleth Babe, Heather Ray. She's been on a few previous podcasts here. She was like, well, what does this mean for Section 31? Because we haven't had any news updates. And I had responded to her on Twitter, and I said, well, the last I heard, Section 31 was supposed to start filming as soon as Discovery wrapped up its season. So they may not have told us, but I'm guessing they've got some footage in the bag, because Discovery Season 3 did finish, quite a while ago. So COVID would have put a halt to this, and the reason we haven't seen Discovery Season 3 yet is because the music hasn't been composed. And we got a tweet showing that Jeff Russo is composing from home, and he's doing like online scoring sessions with people. So I would expect Discovery to come in the next month or two. But as soon as filming can resume, I would expect them to start either continuing or beginning filming on Section 31, because if they were that close, the season's written. Right? They still have to plan out Strange New Worlds. They've just announced it. That's it. So we're 2 years away probably. And then depending on COVID, we're 2 years at least from seeing Strange New Worlds. They've said late 2021, but I wouldn't expect it that soon. Because Picard they announced 2 years ago at STLV, right? And then, so it was about a year and a half later that we got it. So I would say maybe January of 22 at the earliest we would see Strange New Worlds. And I would expect to see Section 31 before that.
Yeah, I expect that too. So I have a question for you. Do you think that with the number of series you talked about, that you like having now these number of series sort of at your anthology idea, do you think that the seasons will be shorter, that the shows will have a shorter run, and then they can keep on moving on to new and different series?
I think it's going to depend on the story. Like, season 1 of Discovery was 15 episodes, and I think it should have been 13. And I think it should have been 13 because I think they should have taken the first 2 episodes and used them as flashback throughout the first season.
Like they did with Picard.
I think, yeah, I think that 15 episodes was too much for that show. But 10 seemed to be the perfect number for Picard. Now, there's a lot of shows that I watch where 10 is kind of the sweet spot right now. Like, when HBO started releasing a lot of shows, they were doing 12-episode seasons was the majority, 12 or 13 episode seasons. And it's kind of slowly come down to around 10. Part of doing that is you kind of need the longer episodes. You need the full close to an hour long. And we haven't been getting that with Star Trek. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But 10 episodes is probably the sweet spot where it's going to be 10. They might order 13, but, somewhere in there.
So do you think that the seasons will be cut short?
Oh, the amount of seasons. Okay, so here's the thing. Yes, I think the amount of seasons will be cut short. And that's also kind of a good thing because it keeps it fresh and it keeps it new. A lot of shows nowadays are doing that for multiple reasons. They want to be able to tell a specific story, and they don't want to lose the interest of fandom. And a lot of shows right now tend to lose fandom after about 2 or 3 seasons. So you're seeing shows that are only lasting that long. So it's not as common anymore for shows to go a really long time. Like, it really has to hit a cultural nerve to go a long period of time. Like, I'm floored that Walking Dead is still going. 10 seasons done. They've still got plans to do more. Like, I can't believe that show is still going, but it keeps getting the numbers. But that's kind of rare. See, something interesting that's happening right now with Walking Dead is while they've got their spin-off show Fear the Walking Dead, there's another series coming out. And while I'm not really particularly interested in the topic because it's about young people after the zombie apocalypse, like whoever was born after the zombie apocalypse, what does intrigue me is that they've announced it as a limited 2-season run. So I'm like, okay, so just right there, they got me. I'm like, okay, I can stick with this thing for 2 seasons. I'll check it out. I know there'll be shorter seasons. Let's see what they got. Let's see what they're going to do. So they've got a start and an end with whatever the show is. So I think 7 seasons is gone. They've confirmed that they have Patrick Stewart for 2 seasons. At STLV, Picard, when he announced it, he did say, and I'm certain of this, somebody can tell me I'm wrong, but I'm certain he said, we've got an idea for 3 seasons. Okay, so...
that sounds familiar, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that Patrick Stewart has said that at one point. And I would be content with that. Let's see what they're going to do. They're going to tell us a story and leave it at that. Who knows how long Section 31's planned to last? I mean, based on what's going on with Star Trek Discovery, I can see Season 3 being their last. There's been unconfirmed rumors that they've renewed it for Season 4, but there has been zero official announcement. It was some unreliable website that said this. Season 3 as being the last Discovery, because they're way 900 years in the future. They probably got to get back because they got to do Section 31, right? And I mean... Michelle Yeoh has been signed on for Section 31, and I don't think you can do Section 31 900 years from now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right that Season 3 will, at the end, get them back, and that would be a good wrap up to their little story. It was interesting you bring up Picard only going for 3, because it seems like every time I talk to my mother, she's like, well, Picard just can't go on forever.
Yes.
Oh, Mother.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that show and where they go. I mean, yeah, because, the first season was really good. And they've confirmed that Whoopi Goldberg's coming back for Season 2. That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, we do also have these animated shows which are coming, which don't sniff at, audience. Don't sniff at this, because, I'm watching right now. I just finished watching the Clone Wars from Star Wars, and it's pretty darn good. There's some stinker episodes. There's some really bad episodes in that show, but there's some really great stuff. Like that last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars is some of the best Star Wars ever. Like, it's really good. And I'm watching Rebels right now, which is kind of a sequel show to that. And it's really good as well. And the interesting thing is that some of these characters that have shown up in Clone Wars and Rebels, they're talking about putting them in the live-action show of The Mandalorian and casting them. So, I mean, like, we could see these animated characters in Star Trek, and they could show up in a live-action show later on. So I think that's fascinating. I think that's fun. They showed us what they can do with animation on the short treks. We had 2 animated short treks, which were a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward for them stretching their wings and being creative with Star Trek. And, as much as I'll complain about plot threads that I don't like, I am still very much looking forward to all these things that are coming. And I really, truly hope that every single season is better than the last, and I really hope that Season 3 is the best season of Discovery. I wish Season 3 of Discovery would be the best season of Star Trek ever. That's really what I want. Do I think it will be? Probably not, but I really do hope that it is. So,
yeah, talking about Lower Decks, like you said, those 2 short treks with the animation, I prefer the Girl in the Stars, Beyond the Stars or whatever. But watching both of those really just showed me how creative and outside the box, and because I generally do not watch any type of cartoons.
Why not?
But I'm looking forward to Lower Decks. I think from what I've read and what I've seen, I think it will be cute. So, and I like the idea and more lighthearted. I hope it's not like that stupid humor that I can't stand. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, we don't really know what's coming. We don't know anything. We don't know what's going on. I guess we can address something, is that another thing that weird fans do is they take an announcement and think that it's something important. So there was a tweet the other day where they compared Dr. Boyce from The Cage with a picture of Jeffrey Combs. And, they're like, oh, look at this. We could have Jeffrey Combs come back. And it gained a lot of traction because a lot of people love Jeffrey Combs as an actor. He's great. And TrekCore asked Jeffrey Combs straight out, and he's like, no, I'm not going to be in it. And people are like, oh, well, Brent Spiner said he wouldn't be in it. And it's like, no. This is not like a rumor 6 months down the road. This is a response to some random tweet that somebody generated and created excitement for, because we're Star Trek fans and we love the actors and we want to see them again. Like, this is not him denying a rumor. This is just, he's denying a tweet is all that he's denying. So That's all it is. It's all coming from one tweet that gained a lot of traction, like a couple thousand likes, so which is because that's what Star Trek fans do. They like their Star Trek, so
They do. So